Winning on the road is always hard, especially in this environment, which is one of the most historic in college basketball. The one thing going into the game really worried me, and it got us. We just got lucky towards the end, was just their size and their athleticism. We have been having trouble turning the ball over, and we end up with 16 turnovers again. That led to 17 points for them. But we were able to battle and compete throughout the game and stay connected. And this was a big win for us, just because we're coming off, 2 losses, and we needed something to get back on the right side. And then also, just playing against them, you don't realize it till you're out there and you see them, just the size and the athleticism that they do have. And a big part of the game was getting them out of transition as much as we can. And you could see in the moments when they gotten out in transition just how electric they are. You end up with one missed tip ball and Betsy hits a 3, or one missed loose ball and you got Anthony at the rim or somebody at the rim. So it's important for me, especially in this game, to keep it up tempo, but also slow it down as much as I could with what we needed to do, I felt, to execute and win. But I'm just excited we ended up being able to pull away at the end.
So, Jay, they zoned you the whole most of the game,
yeah.
The first few minutes. And how were you able to be as successful as you were in the second half against that?
We have seen, I wish I knew I went down, make me look taller. We had seen a lot of zone the whole year. So we're really familiar with playing against the zone. And so it's something we're comfortable in doing. We just had to make sure when we got the ball in the middle, we were making the right reads. And I thought in the first half, Malik wasn't. And that's how he ends up with 7 turnovers. But once we figured it out, relaxed, took a deep breath, we were able to do it. And then also, scouting. We struggled against the zone last game against Florida State. They played it a little bit different, but the same. So we kind of expected and anticipated every game.
Coach, you guys really limited Betsy and Kings from 3 specifically today.
Yeah.
Just what went into that game plan? How did you see your guys execute that?
We thought that was the biggest part of their firepower with Kings and Betsy. You have a guy almost shooting 60% from 3. He's going to be at the top of the scouting report with Betsy. And the same thing with Kings. Some of the stuff that they do and some of the actions they run open him up a lot. So for me, what we kind of do to kind of negate it was we just start switching. We just start switching to kind of take it away and make sure he couldn't get any open looks. And a big part of it was just limiting their threes to try to knock down their firepower, to be honest with you.
You've been a good rebounding team, especially on the offensive end most of the year. Was that an area that you thought you were going to be able to exploit today?
It's who we have to be. And the last 2 games, we always want to get back 40% of our misses. And we want to almost get 15 offensive rebounds per game. And we want our second chance points to match our offensive rebounds. And so Clemson and Florida State, we end up in the 20s in our percentages. And we're not this offensive juggernaut. We are in the sense of we have a formula that we got to stick to. Offensive rebound is a big part of it. Getting fouled, points in the paint. And then for me and for us, I got them understanding if we hit threes, we hit threes. But we have a formula that it sticks to it. And, I tell the guys the same thing. Number 1 team in the country, Arizona, makes 6 threes a game. And no one talks about them having bad offense. So if we stick to the formula and do what we're supposed to do, we'll be fine. And until the last 2 games, I think we're number 1 scoring team in the ACC. And we get 85 today, and we hit threes. That's why we get 85. But we're not banking on, making 10 threes a game for us to be really good. We're banking on offensive rebounding, getting fouled, points in the paint. And that takes physicality and grit, which is hard because you're almost playing offense like defense, but that's how we're built. If we're built something else, we'll play a different way, but that's what makes us good, so we have to buy into it.
Coach, Ernest played around the rim, just how he did toward the end of the game as well. Syracuse was trying to make some moves for a comeback. Just what you can say about his play.
Well, I almost wanted to snatch him. I'll use that word because he went for a one-handed lob. And we teach 2 hands everything. He goes one-handed lob, long rebound, leads to a transition point for them. But he's been big for us. The one thing he didn't do today that he had been doing was getting double-figure rebounds. But Malik made up for it and getting his rebounds. But our size with him and Malik in there at the same time is what kind of offers teams situations of what they want to do. And then against the press at the end, I thought he did a good job, but we did a good job of attacking it to score instead of letting it get us on our heels.
How much did you feel like the energy changed after the missed dunk on one end by JJ, and then you guys came right back and hit a three.
Yeah, it's a game of runs. That moment is big. Like I said, I think our missed dunk was the same thing. When Ernest missed his dunk and they come down and they score. So it's just the timing that happens. But the game is right there. These small margins in this game. It was a 9-point win. If we take care of the ball, it could be a 20-point win. If we turn it over a little bit more, it's a closer game. We might be in overtime or something. So it's right there. It's right there. And they're a really good team. You hit rough spots. We were in a rough spot. You hit rough spots in the season, and you just got to kind of battle and figure it out. But I like their team. I like how they're built. I think George does a really good job of just finding and picking the open people and finding the right spots. They got shot blocking, rim protection. I think Red's done a really good job with his roster composition. Looks like at least to me, it looks like a throwback Big East Syracuse team. They just don't play zone the whole game. But they're long. You got White. You got Kyle. You got all these guys out there, so they do a good job.
You mentioned the need to disrupt the rhythm throughout the game. What kind of things did you see with the makeup of the team that allowed you to think that you could do that and do it successfully?
Part of it was, one, is always keeping the ball out the paint. A big part of it, I thought, was just being able to initially try to get under the ball screens so George couldn't get downhill. And we did a great job early, the first 6 minutes of the game. And then the middle part of the game, he kind of got his rhythm. He started hitting Kyle in the short roll, and it kind of opened up a bunch of stuff. So then we had to adjust again. And then I thought the zone for us, the zone and going man was a big part of it too. That kind of just threw them off because now you're into your zone offense, and then all of a sudden you halfway through the possession and it's changed. So I think just giving people different looks at times is a big part of it, and we need it. We got a shortened bench, we got injuries, we got a bunch of stuff going on, so we just had to find a way to win, and we did.
Kai and Anthony found his groove in the second half, 13 points. He went on that kind of small run. Yeah. But then you guys kind of turned the switch on him defensively. You kind of found out how to slow him down. What did you see from Anthony, a young player, freshman year, and then how were you able to kind of slow him down after that big dunk in the three?
Well, the one thing about him, he's not shy. He's going to go in there, he's going to play his game, and he has the capability to do what he did today, where if he gets hot, he can get 13, 15, 20 in a game. A big thing is you just never know with the numbers how they're going to be in the game, but his capability. And so once it happened, we just kind of what we call impacted the ball a little bit more and picked up our pickup point on him and tried to force him out and kind of pressure him a little bit more so he wasn't catching it as deep and just staying out of rhythm.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, appreciate y'all.